Hello everyone, welcome to Good Film Hunting, a podcast about an average couple who are on the hunt for some good movies. In today's world, we are consuming more media than ever, perhaps more passively than ever. But we believe that by documenting and discussing the media we intake, how and what we intake will change for the better. It is important that we don't just become another consumer, but a participant, seeking to engage with the media we consume, so that we can see how our view of the world affects how we perceive it, and how it affects how we perceive the world. In this podcast, we are not only on the hunt for some good movies, but on the hunt for a good discussion. So, lean in, participate, and enjoy. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Good Film Hunting. Glad you could join us. I hope you are doing well this evening or morning or whenever you're listening to this. I am James the Scot, and I'm beside here with my wife. Please introduce yourself to our massive audience.
This is Savannah the Scot.
Yes, we are the Scots. We are, yes, yep, Nothing to add to that.
Yeah, that's all we are.
That's all we are. So yeah, I'm grateful that you are listening to this. I just thought we'd start this by kind of describing why we're starting this. So as the introduction said, we are trying to document what we intake as far as movies go specifically, just so that we can have more conversation around it, kind of keep track of what we're consuming, as well as see how we perceive it changes over time. So if you're listening, I hope it provokes more conversation with you and other people you might know. So as you know, today we are going to be discussing a great first movie, the Barbie movie. Oh yeah, the Barbie movie. So before we go into that, I thought I'd give a brief breakdown of how the episode is going to work and kind of how we're going to try and keep them. They might change over time, obviously. But we'll go ahead and start by me listing a series of facts that hopefully Savannah won't know. She knows most of these already because I didn't think of this till earlier, actually. And then after we go through the facts about the movie, we'll go ahead and discuss our general thoughts about it, the history about it, and then we'll go through a rating system we've created, which I'll discuss more later. And then we will go ahead and give our overall rating. Would we recommend it? Was it worth our time? And then we'll conclude from there. So, yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready. This is going to be good.
It's going to be good.
I'm excited.
Are you excited? Are you sure?
I'm very excited.
Okay, all right.
You know how I feel about this movie?
Oh, yeah. But this is the first live-action Barbie movie after, can you guess how many animated Barbie movies there were?
35.
42.
Wow.
42.
That's a lot.
Animated Barbie movies.
And I've seen 40 of them.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, you didn't know that there were 40 of them.
No, actually, I don't know how many I've seen, but I've seen a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. Oh, man, I can't imagine. So, yeah, that's fun. As we know, this was directed by Greta Gerwig, who is a newer director. She's best known for Lady Bird and the newest adaptation of Little Women. The movie was written by Greta Gerwig and someone named Noah Baumbach. I'm not familiar with anything he's done. He's just a name, so I'll keep an eye out for him in the future. The movie had a budget of $145 million, and I told you this earlier. Do you remember how much it grossed?
What was it? I don't remember. It was a big number.
Yeah, it was $1.42 billion.
Wow. So 140 million was the budget, and 1.42 was the gross. Wow, that's crazy.
It made its money back. So that breaks a few records for it. So far it's the highest grossing movie of 2023. It's the highest grossing female directed movie. It's the highest grossing movie owned by Warner Brothers. This makes it only the 14th highest grossing movie of all time.
What's the highest grossing movie of all time?
I think it's Avatar, the first one, and then it's Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame did beat it. It did beat it, but then they re-released it,
Oh.
Avatar, for a little bit, and then that raised it to like just over 3 billion.
I can't believe that.
Can't believe it.
That Avatar. Never mind. We don't have to talk about that.
And as we all know, this movie was famously released alongside Oppenheimer. We got Barbenheimer, and that has a lot of jazz around it. Probably a little more than it deserves, but yeah, we've seen them both, and Oppenheimer will be discussion for a later date. So yeah, well, let's go into our general thoughts about it and our history about it and what we thought maybe going into it versus not. We'll start with you, Savannah. What were your thoughts?
Wow, my thoughts. So, the Barbie movie has been out for a month and a half or 2 months now.
When was it released?
I don't remember.
Was it July?
I think it might have been July or August.
I should look.
I think it was July. It had to be in July.
Okay.
And I had heard about it coming out. I wasn't super interested in seeing it just because Barbie is not really my thing. Like, I didn't really grow up with Barbies, so it's not, like, nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of hullabaloo surrounding it.
Yeah.
So as a hullabaloo chaser, I thought it would be interesting to, see it. But I never had my heart set on, like, going to the theater and seeing it. We had talked about it, but, like, neither of us cared that much. So we watched it at home, and my first, my just general thoughts of the movie were that it was very pink.
It's true.
Very Barbie-like.
It's very Barbie.
There were lots of Barbies, except they did not give me Barbie vibes at all.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, what to use it? Barbie vibe?
They just didn't really play into the Barbie-ness of them as people very much. Like, I feel like, not to compare this with the, brilliance of Barbie Life in the Dream House, but...
I haven't seen that one.
It's a show.
Oh, so it's a show.
It's so good.
Okay.
But anyway, the Barbies are making fun of being Barbies, and they're, very stiff and Barbie-like throughout the show.
Oh,
and,
really?
I feel like it would have been funny if they were, slightly more physically like Barbies.
Oh, okay.
I will say that the atmosphere of Barbie Land was very Barbie-like. Like, it felt like they were in a box, almost.
Yeah.
It was interesting. That was a long way to get out that I just thought it was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And I have more thoughts to share later that are slightly more controversial than these thoughts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so my thoughts, my history. So, yeah, I can't say that I was really interested in seeing it until I heard, the big deal. That was a big deal that it was coming out besides Oppenheimer. And we, as you mentioned, we briefly discussed going to see it. We kind of joked about it. And then we just decided, Oppenheimer's already 3 hours long. We were committed to seeing that. We didn't necessarily feel the need to back it up with the Barbie movie. But yeah, I wasn't against seeing it when it came out in a more accessible way. There was a lot of controversy around it. I was curious to know how and if people were overreacting, because some people were like, oh, this is obviously, satire or whatever. And then there's other people who were making
angry
it
about it.
very, very angry about it, unreasonably angry about it, I would say. So yeah, I was just interested in the sake for conversation and it being a cultural experience, I think. My overall thoughts, I wouldn't say I regret having watched it, but I can't say I would recommend it, and I can't say that I would ever watch it again, but it was an experience, once again, a cultural experience that definitely adds to conversation and gives us a little more insight into just everything that's happening.
We definitely did see what all the fuss was about.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we're now moving into our rating system, which has 4 categories in it: entertainment, quality, writing, and content. Each one we will rate on a scale of 1 to 5, our general thoughts behind it, and then we'll kind of add it all up at the end, and we'll each have our own rating for it. But yeah, let's start with entertainment, where we just discuss our overall enjoyment of it. Did it have us hooked? Would we watch it again, etc. So Savannah, what were your thoughts as far as the entertainment level goes?
Let's see here. Did I say that I was kind of bored with this movie at a certain point?
Okay, so you have to know Savannah fell asleep for the last few minutes of it. Okay, no, we have to go back to the beginning before we go into how we ended up watching this. Speaking of history, so your sister Abby knew this was a controversial movie, and she's all about controversy, but she hadn't seen the trailers. She only heard a couple people's reviews and knew it was controversial. So we went into watching it, and
5 seconds in,
5 seconds in,
like,
well, it was a surprise.
yeah.
She's like, oh no, this is not what I anticipated. Yeah, that was funny. That was amusing.
That was amusing. But
yeah, we both agreed to go into it open-minded.
yeah, we knew what to expect too. She obviously didn't, and that was funny. It was just funny. But
Right,
I did fall asleep for a little while because I
Towards
was
the very
tired,
end,
and that
yeah.
doesn't often happen when I watch a movie. I mean,
Not too
no,
often.
I don't think I've done it very often, so that's saying something. I would say it started off funny. There were some funny moments sprinkled throughout. Funny as in, like, I would say there were some intentionally funny moments, and then funny, like, as in, wow, this is really cringe kind of funny.
Oh, okay.
I would say as far as entertainment value, like, okay, so I'm thinking about the musical numbers.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember none of them, really, or I
Okay.
care about none of them other than the Ken one, because it was funny. But I would say for entertainment, it was a 3 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just pretty snooze throughout. The music wasn't that great. The general, like, banter back and forth was very, like, fake seeming and not not super quippy or funny. Again, comparing this to Barbie Life in the Dream House, which you should watch. We should
In my
watch
spare
it as a
time.
cultural experience.
Is it a cultural
It
experience?
is. But yeah,
Okay.
I would say I would rate it a 3 for entertainment.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say I'd rate it as a 3. I think, I think the first half was a lot more enjoyable than the second half. The first half had funny moments. It was kind of fun to just see the Barbie land and the characters and the world and the issues that arose, the inciting incident, and then them just going to the real world and their experience there and Ken's experience and his takeaways from that versus Barbie's. And then we moved into the second half, which started okay, but it just became a very long slog. Like, the movie itself felt very long, considering it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
It just felt very dragged out, which is not what you want from a movie. Because I think as an audience, like, we knew what the resolution was probably going to be to an extent, but they just took forever to get there. And then even when that was resolved, they still extended it with Barbie's personal growth.
Yeah,
So,
which
yeah.
I missed out on.
Yeah, I guess you did sleep for that, so I'll have to explain that to you. So, Savannah's ratings might not be as
They
qualified.
might not encompass the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, they concluded the overall arc, and then Barbie's arc went further. And
All I know is that she went to the gynecologist.
which was a very interesting way to end the movie. Yeah, I'd say a 3. I wasn't bored until the characters went back to Barbie Land. Yeah, and so, okay. So we both land on 3 on that one. So we're going to move into quality, where we talk about the production quality, specifically the cinematography, the music, the acting, the set design, everything that kind of falls into that. So once again, we'll start with you, Savannah. What did you think of the production quality?
As I told you, I felt like Barbie Land was executed well as far as feeling like its own separate world, I feel like.
Yeah.
However, I felt that the real world felt very small.
Okay.
Like I told you, it felt like, where was it? Was it LA?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I felt like LA consisted of the beach,
Okay.
Mattel headquarters, and then like the school.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it just felt very small and weird to me. Like, we didn't get any like sweeping shots of LA.
Yeah,
We just got like close-ups of like Ken and Barbie rollerblading and Barbie getting catcalled and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is definitely something to talk about. Yeah, and the acting was fairly decent, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't terrible, not the worst. I feel like writing these days is just not great.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about, but I just feel like, but altogether it wasn't terrible. I thought Margot Robbie did a good job as Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was cute and she was fun and she was very Barbie-like. I wouldn't say she was very stereotypical Barbie, so I don't know if they really cast the right person for stereotypical Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what she was supposed to be.
Okay.
But I thought she was good.
Yeah.
Cinematography was fine,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, and the music, like I said, was very forgettable, other than the Ken song, like I said. Altogether, for that, I would say probably a 3 also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go between 3 and 4 on this. I'll explain my thoughts and maybe I'll come to a conclusion that way. I can't say that I felt that the real world was small, but I do agree, like, they did a good job at, like, giving us a bigger perspective of Barbie Land, whereas LA, they did kind of only show very specific places. And once again, it might have been that they just were kind of expecting us to fill in the gaps because we're familiar with the real world.
I'm like, I've never been to LA, though.
It's true. The music wasn't super memorable, and either the score itself wasn't super memorable. The songs weren't super memorable for the most part. Set design of Barbie Land, it definitely was very Barbie. Like, it felt like they were giant playhouses for the Barbies. It was very pink. It was extremely pink. The beaches, I thought it was, I enjoyed how everything was plastic, whether it was the food or the water.
No,
like,
that was
everything
funny.
was incredibly plastic. I appreciated that. Acting, I thought the acting from Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were the best by far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I felt like everyone else was subpar.
Very forced.
Yeah, although I did enjoy Will Ferrell.
Who doesn't?
It's true. Who doesn't?
You can put him in any movie and it would be good.
It's true. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say. I guess it would be a 3 because it was good, but like, it just didn't stand out to me. The only thing that stood out was Barbie Land. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the only thing that like stood out as being like, oh, that's really fun. But at the same time, they totally could have embraced more of that, even while they were in Barbie Land, that they didn't really embrace. But like, nothing else really, I felt, stood up. I know they ended up doing a lot of painted backgrounds for Barbie Land, and like the montage scenes when they're traveling, like those were actual like the traditional backgrounds they painted. That was impressive. But like, it didn't stand out to me enough to be like, oh, that's so cool. So yeah, I give it a 3. I think we're both on a 3 for that. Okay, now we're moving into writing, which is probably gonna start getting a little more dicey for at least one of us. This is where we talk about just the character arcs, the character writing, the dialogue, the overall story writing, the jokes, etc. So what did you think of that, Savannah?
The fact that it was very meta bothered me.
Yeah.
Because it's just not my favorite theme for movies. I don't like that particular thing. As far as the other stuff, there, like we've said in the beginning, I don't want to get too controversial, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding this movie and the politics of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was very in your face in a very awkward way.
An awkward way.
Like,
okay.
it seemed like they were shoving the message down everyone's throats all the time.
Okay.
It was like, it's like, and a lot of people will say that this movie's like satire. So it's, you know, it's funny because like they're obviously making fun of this, but like I didn't get that impression. Like I got the impression that they were, some of it was definitely very satire-like, but I felt like there were some other lines that were just belabored a little too much to be satire.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought the writing was just generally not super amazing. Like, the characters were not great. I thought the mom was, like, endearing in a way, but also, like, very codependent on her daughter and very needy and insecure in a way that a grown woman really shouldn't be, I believe.
Yeah.
The daughter was very one-dimensional. I don't know if she had some sort of character arc that I slept through. But she went on this lengthy rant, and then she lost me at the word fascist. And
the daughter specifically?
Yeah, the daughter.
Oh, that scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or she's, like, telling Barbie how terrible she's been. Like, as soon as they see her, they're like,
That
she
was
says that she's
that was
Barbie.
an interesting choice.
I know, like, she sees
it. Was just so, like, has this daughter been harboring this much bitterness and hate towards Barbie? It was just very odd. Like, I feel like I don't know, like, there's just, most people I feel wouldn't really be that way. There might be a few, but, like, and coincidentally, she was one of them.
So Barbie just rolls up to, what's the daughter's name? The daughter's school. Comes up to the table. No, her name. What is her name?
I don't remember.
Anyway, she rolls up to her school, sees her, she's like, hey, and then they're like in disbelief that she's Barbie, and then as soon as they're convinced that she's Barbie, the daughter stands up, sharpens all of her knives, and then like throws them into Barbie's chest one at a time.
Ouch.
Like, very hard.
Not literally.
And she's not like just throwing them, she's like hanging onto the knife and then running full speed into Barbie's chest and stabbing her. And Barbie's like super confused because she's like, what did I do?
Barbie's so sweet. She's so nice.
I know, she's so nice. And she's like, what did I do? And they're like, not they, the girl is like, you ruin women's lives. You give them unrealistic body standards. You're a fascist. I don't even know what a fascist is.
So wait, so why did it lose you then if you don't know what fascist
Because
is?
that's a big word. Hold on, let me Google it.
Okay. I'm going to Google it.
Okay. So she calls her a fascist, and it lost me at the word fascist because this girl is in elementary. Is she in elementary school?
No, she's in high school.
She's in high school.
Is a far-right, authoritarian, ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement characterized by dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible... Okay. That's a very interesting thing to call Barbie.
Yeah, so that's like a very weird thing to call Barbie because this seems to me like typical modern, like the way that people in modern ages like to just take words like
starving,
fascist, or
I'm starving.
No, not that.
That's a good example.
Where it's like words like fascist, or like when they compare people to Hitler, or when they talk about like, they just use these dramatic, hyperbolic words that don't actually mean anything. Yeah. And it's just silly to me. So it seemed like they had like bingo and they wanted to check off the fascist box in this movie. Okay. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but basically, it was hard to tell if it was satire or if it was real.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought the writing was lazy and lame. And
lazy and lame.
Yeah, lazy and lame.
Wow.
So I would give the movie... I also just thought some of the dialogue was awkward. Like, I felt like a lot of Weird Barbie. I would be awkward Barbie. Weird Barbie's dialogue was very weird feeling. So I would say for writing, I'd give it a 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Barbie.
Not very creative.
Not very creative.
The costumes, though. When can we talk about that?
Oh, okay. You can bounce back for a second.
I thought the costumes were cool.
Oh, did you?
I did. I liked a couple of Barbie's dresses, especially the first one, the gingham checked one, the pink and white one.
Okay.
That one was pretty. I liked Ken's patriarchy outfit.
The cow. No, what was it?
He had like a giant robe or
okay.
like not a giant robe, like a giant fur coat. And I will say also, if we're talking about writing, the whole patriarchy thing was really funny. Like the way Ken interpreted the patriarchy was hilarious.
Men
and
horses.
And the fact that Ken thought horses were like played a huge role in the patriarchy was really funny. So I thought, yeah, Ken's interpretation of the patriarchy was hilarious to me.
That was funny.
And I thought that was well done.
That was pretty funny.
But anyway, yeah, I'd still give the writing a 2. Maybe a 2.5, the 0.5 for the patriarchy.
Yeah, I think this movie struggled with trying to be satire and actually trying to promote its messages. There's some things that were very obviously satire, specifically in Barbie Land. Like the fact that Kens are just accessories and it's Barbie and Ken, and the main Ken doesn't know what to do with himself because his identity is wrapped up in the Barbie, because there is no just Ken, it's Barbie and Ken. So that was interesting, and obviously the fact that he went to the real world, he came back with this idea of what patriarchy should be, and obviously all of that was very overdone and silly. But what confuses me is when they get to the real world, and it's obviously supposed to be a flip on Barbie Land, which is all matriarchal, and then they come to the quote-unquote real world, and they interpret it as patriarchal, but it just felt odd because it wasn't absurd enough for us as an audience to grasp it. It's like, oh, obviously the real world is being satirical in the sense, and Barbie Land's being satirical, and both need to find a middle ground.
Yeah, I thought it made it seem very much like in terms of the men's treatment of Barbie. Like, it made it seem very, like, it wasn't over the top enough. It was just like, see, this is what it's like when you're a woman and you go out in public. Like, men slap your butt, and men catcall you, and men call you names and stuff, because that's just how men are. Like, I feel like the real world could have been more over the top.
Yeah. I definitely think it could have been.
If we're going the satirical route.
But at the same time, there obviously were certain messages they were trying to get us to understand and sympathize with. Which brings me to a weird point in the writing. So, Barbie is in Barbie Land, everything's great, and then suddenly she brings up, does anyone ever think of death? And like that puts a pause on everything. It's very odd. It's like, okay, what is this? Barbie realizes there are weird things happening to her. She goes to see Weird Barbie to figure out what to do. She needs to go to the real world to find whoever's playing with her to help them so she can go back to normal. And I guess because the Barbie and the real person who's playing with her are intertwined more than they think. So she ends up going to the real land. Ken ends up following her because, he's in love with Barbie. And poor Ken is so abused by Barbie. Every night's girl night, and she just doesn't respond to him in any way.
I know, it's weird because I feel like they make us assume that Ken and Barbie are boyfriend and girlfriend, but they don't. But they don't make it seem like in the movie that they're supposed to be. Like, we know Ken and Barbie are boyfriend and girlfriend because they have been since Barbie was invented. But like in the movie, Ken just seems like some lame like stalker that follows Barbie around everywhere.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so, like, we feel bad for Ken, but we don't almost feel as bad as we could feel because we don't know that he's, like, her rejected boyfriend.
Yeah, they don't establish it enough that it's Barbie and Ken. And, like, I felt like they could have done a better job, maybe even with Barbie not knowing how to respond to it, because she doesn't really like Ken in that way. I felt like there just could have been a better done tension there. Also, it was funny that everyone's named Barbie and everyone's named Ken, so I found that amusing. And then there's poor Alan.
Well, then there's Midge also, who's not named Barbie. Okay. Pregnant Midge.
Alan. I love Alan.
Alan was funny.
That's my favorite part. Okay, yeah. So you asked me what my favorite character was earlier. It's probably the Asian Ken, as I've established, but Alan is very close, just because he's so awkward.
It's true, he's really funny.
All right. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So they've established that tension. They go to the real world. Barbie finds who she interprets to be her quote-unquote girl who plays with her. So she goes to find her while Ken goes off on his own separate journey. She meets this girl. The girl, once again, we've established she's been waiting with knives all her life for the moment Barbie to approach her so she can just let Barbie know that she's ruined her life somehow.
Or just society
Just
as a whole.
society. And it's like, I feel like maybe you're wrapping a little bit too much in this Barbie. Whatever.
This girl is a very committed feminist, obviously.
Obviously, but like the poor, I don't know, it was just very awkward. Anyway, so that happens. It is what it is. Barbie moves on. Mattel realizes Barbie and Ken escaped from Barbie Land. They've got to get them back. There's a whole bunch of back and forth there. And then we're introduced at some point earlier along to this Barbie's girl's mom, whose name I also don't remember. And she was drawing pictures of Barbie, Death Barbie, and other things Barbie. I forget the other things.
Depression Barbie.
Then it's later revealed that the mom was playing with Barbie because she was feeling lonely. So that was kind of a neat twist because of how that played out. I appreciated that. Barbie and the girl and the mom go back to the real world to try and... I can't remember why they went back to the real world altogether.
So I just remembered, or I just looked it up. The girl's name is Sasha. The mom's name is Gloria.
Okay, I apologize to everyone who's been listening who knows their names. And it's like, come on, guys. I don't remember why they go back to the real world altogether. Maybe just because Barbie really likes Gloria. But they do. They find out Ken and his idea of the patriarchy is taken over. All the Barbies are brainwashed. Oh, it's terrible. It's very satirical and reverse. Here's one complaint I have with that. So, because the Barbies are brainwashed, I don't understand the plight as to why the patriarchy is terrible in Barbie Land. Because it's not like the Barbies are conscious and they realize, oh no, I'm being held against my will, and they're forcing me to do this. They're completely happy and joyful and like all into this.
Making sandwiches,
giving them beer. Like, I mean, honestly, it doesn't look bad. Like,
that's coming from you, a patriarch.
Me, apparently. No, but like everyone's happy. The guys, they're not being mean to the Barbies.
That's true.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's the fear of like what the Kens could do to the Barbies, whatever. But like everything's working out. Barbie doesn't like it. She's immune to the brainwashing. And then she goes into a fit of hysteria and doesn't know what to do. And then Gloria and Sasha, after trying to leave, decide to come back, and they help Barbie, along with Alan, who's there because he's Alan. And then the mom goes into this rant about how hard women's lives are. And that's fine and all. I have a couple issues with ever movies particularly preachy about anything. And two, it's just weirdly out of character for the mom. Like, at no point did I feel like she deserved that speech, because we never had any insight into how hard her life was. Or how hard women's life was in the movie.
No,
there was nothing that ever indicated how hard women's lives were. It was just more of men being in power versus women being in power.
Okay, no, there's there's one secretary.
Okay.
Who gets like pushed around, but like not really that much.
No, and the circumstances didn't.
Or was that Gloria?
I think that was Gloria, because the guy's like, I've got this really important thing I gotta tell the boss, and I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't necessarily directed at Gloria so much as like if anyone had been there.
Yeah.
And so they bring back the Barbies, they trick the Kens. There's this whole battle between the Kens, which I thought was really amusing. It was very well shot, considering it was like a battle with rubber duckies and.
Oh, is that
floaties.
What that was? I think I started.
Did you sleep?
Asleep at that time.
It was very well done. It was very funny. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was very colorful because of all the outfits and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then there was the Ken song, which was pretty fun. And then everything seems to go back the way it was. Barbie and Ken have some resolution. Where Ken, Barbie helps Ken realize that he doesn't have to define himself by using her. And so I think you slept through that too. And Ken, has this revelation of like, oh, I can be Ken. And then there's like evidence that the Barbies are gonna slowly start letting the Kens in. And then Barbie decides to, like, she goes through her own character arc of deciding she wants to go to the real world. And she meets the creator of Barbie. And they have this conversation. And like, being a human's hard and yada, yada, yada. I'm gonna show you experience and you have to decide if you want to. She gets to experience all happy memories, wonderful memories, beautiful memories. And Barbie's like, oh yes, I want this. Like, hold on, wait a second, you were just telling her how hard it is. I'm not convinced that was hard at all.
I mean, it's hard if you, like, take emotional, like, no emotions other than happiness whatsoever, and then, like...
Like, obviously it's gonna be hard because you're setting her up for disappointment. Yeah, writing, it's hard. Yeah, it was all over the place. And did it suffer from the writing? Was everything else good about the movie outweigh what was poorly done in the writing? I think because the ending was as long as it was, I'm begrudgingly giving this a 2. If that ending had been shorter, it would have been more bearable. But yeah, so far we're agreeing on this for the most part.
Yeah.
Now that I gave a whole synopsis of
I
the
know.
movie.
Like, we don't have to watch it now.
I know. Now we're moving on to our last category, which is content, where we take the overall movie and what's positive about it and the story and weigh it against the more quote-unquote negative content like language or sexual content or crassness, things that would fall into that category. So what would you say, Savannah?
I thought, all things considered, it was pretty clean. There were no bad words, I don't think. There was no language, from what I recall.
Yeah, and hardly any, if any.
Yeah. There was a little bit of sexual content, like Barbie being hassled by the guys, and there was some talk of anatomically correct body part words and stuff. And one suggestive comment made by Weird Barbie about Ken.
Oh, yeah, that was very suggestive, actually.
I know, it was really uncozy. And then for crassness, there is a dog that poops, but...
Unnecessarily, but it does.
That was the most nostalgic part of the movie for me, because my friends had a dog like that. I think I might have even personally had that dog.
Oh, really?
That pooped and had little, like, brown pellets that you fed it in its mouth, and then it pooped it out when you pushed its tail, I think.
Wow.
So.
There you go.
And then, okay, so... content-wise, it wasn't terrible. Would I let my children watch it? No, because I wouldn't want to brainwash them with
they're not...
Barbie. It's not like there's no redeeming qualities to this movie. Like, I could see letting a child watch a movie with, like, a worldview that's totally opposite to your own. That's, like, a good movie, and then you could have, like, a conversation about it and be like, this is what happened. But, like, I don't feel like this movie has really anything good about it to, like... outweigh the fact that it just doesn't align with my worldview.
Yeah.
So, like, as an adult, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't really necessarily be like, okay, children, gather around and watch the Barbie movie and learn about fascism.
Yeah.
Or don't learn about fascism, just hear the word.
Okay.
As far as my rating for content, I would say I'd give it a 3. There was nothing, like, super disturbing. I will say the beginning part with the girls smashing their baby dolls, that was also weird.
It was funny. I liked it.
You liked it? Yeah, I would say 3 for content. Nothing offensive. I feel like it was only rated PG-13 because they used body part words.
It's true. Yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't let kids see this just because it is so confusing, I think, as to what they were going for. And I just think kids wouldn't really comprehend it. They just think it's funny, but kind of take it the wrong way. Specifically, everything in Barbie Land. And not to mention just the weird behavior towards Barbie in the real world. But yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, it was clean as far as the actual content it would be rated for. In context to the story, I might give it a 4, actually. Because there's a couple things in there that's very, like, that wasn't necessary, but it's not, there wasn't a lot of it. But, yeah, I don't say that's, like, a super easy 4. think it's barely a 4. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to add to that particular section for this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, Savannah, that brings you to 3, 3,
2.5.
2.5. Oh man, you got to do
And
the
then
points.
3.
And then 3. So that brings you to
11.5.
11.5.
That's how many points altogether. I'm doing the average.
So
So that gives me 2.5 ish.
like 2.75 roughly.
Okay. Yeah, I'd give this movie. I think 2.75 is a solid.
Okay.
Like, not terrible, not the worst. Didn't hate it. Would I ever watch it again? No. Would I recommend it? No. Would I discuss it maybe with my friends? Yeah. But was it good? No.
Okay. I was a 3, 3, 2, 4. So that gives me like a 3. I think the best thing about this movie is that it does produce conversation. There's a lot of conversation to be had around it, and what that conversation is can go in all sorts of direction. It coming alongside Oppenheimer was just a fun once in a lifetime experience. I would imagine. I don't know. I feel like they'll try to force things like this in the future because it was so successful. Would I recommend it? I don't know if I would be like, oh, you should go see this, so much as just like I wouldn't discourage people from seeing it, other than like if someone was gonna watch it and it just produced more conversation, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like, I don't think people are gonna be scarred by it, or I don't think people are gonna be. I mean, some people legitimately think it's like the best movie of 2023, and so yeah, that was our take on the Barbie movie. It was a great way to introduce ourselves. Maybe if you're lucky, this won't be the first thing you listen to. Maybe you'll be further down the line and listen to a less quote unquote controversial movie. But yeah, thank you, Savannah, for being here with me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, audience, for chiming in. And it is very late where we're at, so we are going to end this recording. Hopefully, move on and inspire people like Barbie does, but better, because we're not a plastic doll. And yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. See you later.